A new partner label for Radiance is Raro Video, who seem to be releasing a lot of Italian movies. They've announced several so far. The first one from this batch is The Night of the Devils, Le notte, diavoli. This is a retelling of the Vordelak story. Now, this was one of the tales within Mario Bava's Black Sabbath. Here it is expanded into a feature-length production, and it wasn't until maybe a third of the way through the movie that I suddenly realised what this was, and was just over the moon to have a kind of feature-length version of this story. You have Gianni Giarco as Nicola, a character who is found stumbling about the woods at the start, babbling nonsense, unsure of what's happened, got a sense of amnesia about him that's intercut with some wonderful visual images of faces melting into bug-strewn messes. It has this kind of style before you're flung into the kind of main story of our character, Nicola. Once he's been to the hospital and people have looked him over and trying to figure out what's wrong with him, you get a kind of flashback to what actually did happen to him. How he stumbles across a family in the woods after his car has broken down. How they seem rather edgy, rather introverted people who all seem to have these knowing glances at each other, which Nikolai feels kind of left out about. They decide he cannot be wandering the woods at night. They've just buried a relative of theirs, and they're going to take him into their household, feed him, let him rest, and then hopefully get him back on his feet the next day.
Venga dentro da noi. Fra poco sarà buio. Ed è pericoloso rimanere fuori da queste parti.
Once Nicola's in the house, he starts to realise that the windows are bolted shut. The people are feeling rather awkward. They all want to go to their bed early. Nobody has to open any windows, open any doors, or leave the house at night whatsoever. And we get the idea of this vampiric menace that's roaming the woods as dead relatives have risen from the grave and are looking to feed on any living being that they can get a hold of. Of course, Gianni Garco as our main character is an actor that I really enjoy. I think he is perfect here. He has that kind of good-hearted nature about him as he sees things that he can't tolerate within this family unit. He finds himself stuck there for a number of days. He starts to get a lay of the land. He, as an outsider, is seeing how all the family make connections to each other, how they're all kind of pushing each other's buttons in the wrong way, how there are kind of power plays between certain family members, and of course there's a little bit of a love interest for our main character as well. And it all leads down to some wonderfully tense and exciting set pieces. It's a movie that takes its time in setting up its story and allows the tension and the set pieces to kind of naturally evolve throughout the film. And it creates this kind of tension as well, where you can see the tension between relatives as they're just interacting, as he stumbles into conversations that he shouldn't be privy of.
Ha bevuto lei? Sì. Questa fa 60 gradi. Bisogna esserci abituati.
As that leads to things happening at night that maybe shouldn't happen because people are taking actions against other family members to try and get them out of the picture. And if you're familiar with the Vordelak story, it's very much that encapsulated here, but expanded and drawn out a little bit more, which I really did appreciate. Of course, has the feeling of dread all the way through it. You've got a feeling that our main character is not going to end up in a happy place. In fact, we've already seen him terrified out his wits at the start of this one, a babbling wreck of a man, the complete opposite of the person that enters the film at the start, and you just kind of waiting for the evil, for the badness, for the horrible nature of man and beast to kind of meld together to create a situation that's going to create this babbling mess of a man that we saw at the start of the film. I don't want to go too far into this one, but there are some wonderful set pieces. There are some wonderfully horrific like sequences that really did fill me with dread and despair while watching it. And although it's not the most standout film ever, it was a competently made, entertaining and fun adaptation of that word-the-lack story, which I really do enjoy. As an initial release from Raro Video, The Night of the Devils was fun, incredibly fun, easy to watch, great performances, and actually a great disc as well. Here we are in Raro Video's Night of the Devils disc. Let's go to special features. First up, we have an audio commentary with Alan Jones and Kim Newman. The Devil Among Us interview with Gianni Garco, which runs at 22 minutes 48 seconds, talks about the 4 films he made in 1972, working with the director, his memory of this one. The Angel and the Devil's interview with Agostina Belli, which is 24 minutes 48 seconds, talking about how she started off as an office worker, kind of stumbled in to film work and to the films that she worked on. The Child of Darkness interview with Cynthia De Carolis. This is 30 minutes 2 seconds, talking about how she started acting at the age of 8, her idea of just having fun on the sets, how she got cast in Cat o' Nine Tails. Celestial Light interview with Nino Celeste is 17 minutes 43 seconds, talking about getting started on Diary of a Schizophrenic Girl and going through movies like Zorro, how he got his first DP job, how he had a really tough time on the set of this film, which leads to some interesting stories. Fear and Jazz interview with Giorgio Gasolini, which is 32 minutes 14 seconds. It's kind of weirdly shot as it opens up with kind of cold opening, as if these two guys are just talking, and then it meanders a little bit and then jumps into the interview itself, but you kind of see the preamble before the proper interview. Then you have a kind of archival interview with Chris Alexander, which is just under 6 minutes, and it's more of an introduction to the film, which I love those kind of things, so this was a great addition as well. There are 2 essays included in the booklet. The first one is by Rachel Nisbet, who talks about Italian Gothic. The second one has Chris Alexander, who has a little brief essay in there, and then a written interview with Gastini, who did the music on the film. And that's the extras for Night of the Devils. I've got a funny feeling I'm going to love this label if they continue to release Italian films like this. Yeah, you'll see more of their reviews on this channel. I would love to know your thoughts on Night of the Devils. So let me know in the comment box below whether you loved it, hated it, feel somewhere in the middle. Have you picked it up? Are you going to pick it up? Let me know, because, well, I'm just nosy. As always, there is more content up here where you can see more of my stuff. In the description box below are links to the Patreon membership program and the manvfilm.com, all ways in which you can support me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.